What's going on, everybody? KingofDragons 5000 here, coming at you with another figure review. Today we'll be having a look at the McFarlane Toys DC Direct Page Punchers Gorilla Grodd. And so here we have the Page Punchers Gorilla Grodd pose and out of the packaging. Before we take a look at the figure, let's run through his one and only accessory, which is the McFarlane display stand. Other than that, Gorilla Grodd really doesn't come with anything else, so with that out of the way, let's have a closer look at Gorilla Grodd. And so here we have a closer look at Gorilla Grodd. Now, right off the bat, I'm going to say I really do like the concept and the design of this version of Grodd, not the execution in terms of the plastic used. Now, there are things I like about the sculpt and some things I don't like. As far as his armor goes, I really do like the idea that they went with, just not the bright orange that he has on him. As far as the sculpt goes, very good likeness to Grodd. They did a very good job sculpting a really menacing gorilla face, which it just looks really mean. I kind of wish that he had an articulated jaw or just an alternate head that would have his mouth open, but yeah, it's still a really impressive looking figure. I do like it. You can see on his helmet he has all this really nice detail on it. Unfortunately, it's just in this orange macaroni cheese color. The only other color we have on him is gold right here, but yeah, being a mega figure, I would have expected him to have a little more paint detail, especially here on all his armor bits, because they do look kind of plain and they do get lost. The details do get lost just in the color of the plastic, which is unfortunate. Now, you can see they did try to add some blue highlights to Grodd, which I don't think they did a good job here in the face. It kind of looks like he was chewing on blueberries and then made a mess, but yeah. Having a look at his body, overall I like the proportions on this. This is a really nicely proportioned gorilla. It's not going to be like a human, but as for a gorilla, they did a really good job sculpting him. And again, really do like his armor. Just kind of wish that it had more detailing in it. Just because it's just cast in this orange plastic, it loses so much of this detail, which is unfortunate. And again, we do have some gold accents on it, but it really doesn't do much, especially when it's just this orange color. I would like to see a little more colors here. And then it goes on to his cape right here, which, I don't know, I'm thinking of cutting the cape off, but the cape is the only thing that holds the shoulder pads down like this. I'm worried that if I cut the cape off the shoulder pads, it will start lifting up. But yeah, he does have a torn, tattered cape. Kind of wish that there was like a wash going through that. As far as his body goes, I like what McFarlane did here with the general sculpt. Now, I don't know if you guys can see the way his back is arched, but he's actually designed to be kind of like a gorilla that's trying to stand up straight, where the gorilla's legs are almost vertical and his back is arched. That's kind of the way this figure is supposed to be posed, because he really doesn't get into gorilla stances other than a gorilla standing upright. So yeah, I believe this is the proper way he is supposed to be displayed, and it does make him look taller, but it also does arch his back in a certain way, so do keep that in mind. Really do like the hair on Gorilla Grodd here. They did a really good job sculpting and painting it. It looks very menacing. I kind of wish that he also had a silverback, just to make him a silverback gorilla. That would have been really cool. But yeah, it's still really good detail, and as you would expect, that sculpt work is beautiful going throughout the rest of the figure. Really do like his hands. They did a really good job of sculpting gorilla hands. As you can see, they are kind of stumpy, but they do look like a gorilla hand, and again, they do have this blue wash on them, which again looks more like he got into blueberries than it did wash on this arm. And yeah, it's kind of the same, more or less the same thing. On the belly, at least the blue does look natural here. There is a blue wash throughout his belly right here, and it is painted very nicely. I kind of wish that the blue was as subtle here as it was on his face and hands, because that looks perfect, to be quite honest. He is wearing a loincloth right here, as well as a belt. It does go down really nicely, and it's that same orange plastic, but yeah, it has some texturing to it, so I don't understand why they didn't change it up with some paint. A little bit of paint goes a long way. And just as you would expect, he does have short, stumpy gorilla legs. But one thing to note about this figure is he is wide. This Gorilla Grodd is a pretty wide figure, and I really do like that. He is a very massive figure, and For the size he is, I think this fits for a comic book Grodd. He looks really, really good. So, with his details out of the way, let's actually compare him to other figures you may have in your collection. Here we have Gorilla Grodd posed next to a Marvel Legends Cyclops and a DC Multiverse Superman. Here we have Gorilla Grodd posed next to a WWE Elite Scale figure and a Mezco 1/12 Collective Popeye the Sailor Man. Here we have Gorilla Grodd posed next to a Lightning Collection White Range and a Star Wars Black Series Mandalorian. Here we have the Page Punches Gorilla Grodd posed next to the McFarlane Multiverse Injustice Gorilla Grodd. And for one final comparison, here we have Gorilla Grodd posed next to the McFarlane Toys Mega Figure Bane. So with the comparisons out of the way, let's have a look at Gorilla Grodd's articulation. Gorilla Grodd does have a double ball joint here in the head, so he does get some really good range. As you can see, he looks up phenomenally, and he actually does go back even further, so that is really cool. He can look down only to about right there, so he's pretty much looking straight. He does get some really good head tilt as well as left and right rotation, although it is at a slight angle. We do have a ball joint here in the shoulder, which does pivot forward and back a little bit, pivots up and down more, goes out to the side to about right there, goes all the way around, and you do have to avoid his shoulder pad when doing the rotation. We don't have a bicep swivel, but we do have a single bend here in the elbow, as well as hinge and swivel, so that does work really nicely. He does have your standard hinge and swivel joint at the wrist, so it just goes forward and back and then rotates, but it kind of rotates at a weird angle that's kind of strange to me. Like, that's his wrist in neutral position, but if you rotate it, you can see it's off at an angle now. So yeah, that's kind of strange to me because now it's rotated up, so a little bit weird. Unfortunately for Gorilla Grodd, he has no articulation here in the torso, which I find that really odd because there's a really good spot you could have put the torso cut right there. He does have a ball joint here in the waist, but that's as far forward as it goes. That's about as far forward back as it goes, so it really doesn't get too much forward and back. Does rotate really nicely, gets some slight leaning, but because of the way it's designed, he does butt up against the top of his thighs right here. Speaking of which, the thighs do go out to the side. No problem, really do like that. They kick forward to about right there, which is impressive for a gorilla. Going back, not that good. We do have some slight, well actually we have some really good thigh swivel. Look at that. One of the better thigh swivels we've seen on a McFarlane figure. He has a single bend here at the knee, and that does rotate. Then he does have a hinge on the ankle, which does go back and forward, kind of stiff to be quite honest, but it does work, and it does swivel. So overall, pretty decent articulation on Grodd. It could be better, but for a 500-pound gorilla, what more do you expect? I think it works for the character. So with that out of the way, guys, let's actually get Grodd posed for my final thoughts, and then we'll wrap up this review. And so here we have the McFarlane Toys DC Direct Page Punchers Gorilla Grodd pose for my final thoughts. And overall, this is still a very impressive figure. Now, I am a little bit disappointed by the color scheme of this figure. The bright orange and the gold kind of blend in together too much to really stand out. But if they had just thrown a little bit of a wash on his armor, I think that would have made this armor pop a little bit better. Don't get me wrong, it's a really nice design, but the colors that they went with kind of does boggle the mind on why they went with a really bright orange. It's something that they chose to do in the Flash comic book. Kind of wish that they had gone with a different color scheme, like maybe a silver and a gray would have looked better, maybe a red too. But I'm still really happy with the way Grodd came out. He looks very imposing, and he is massive. Even though he's not the tallest the tallest mega figure we've gotten a look at, he is still pretty wide, and he is imposing, which is what you want out of a mega figure. He looks really solid, and the sculpt work on him is perfect, especially for an oversized gorilla. This is something you would love to see. McFarlane went all out with this figure, and I really like the paint on the fur. The paint on his belly looks really nice. The paint on the hands, face, and feet could be a little bit better, but it's still a really solid figure and I do like it. It looks like he's wearing blue lipstick, oh my goodness. But yeah, anyway, if you are looking for the Page Punches Grodd, he is starting to hit stores at the time I'm making this video, and the stores that I've seen get the Page Punches first is Target. Now, I did get mine from Amazon, where this Gorilla Grodd did run me $43 after taxes, which is pretty much what you expect to pay for a Mega figure. I'm really happy that they didn't increase the price of the Mega figure for the Page Punches. I think that would have been a little bit too extreme. I think $40 for a Grodd is perfectly acceptable, seeing as how he's the perfect sculpt for Gorilla Grodd. I can see McFarlane using this sculpt as a base to make another Gorilla Grodd down the line. Hopefully they do it with probably a better armor scheme, or even if they do like a Rebirth or New 52 Grodd, that would be good. But again, if you are looking for this Grodd, do check out your local Targets. Walmarts do get the Page Punches, or you can get them online like I did from sites like Amazon, Big Bad Toy Store, and Entertainment Earth. With that being said, guys, I'm KingofDragons 5000. Don't forget to like this video, leave a comment, subscribe to my channel. Go ahead and check out all my other action figure reviews, as well as all my other Page Punches and McFarlane Multiverse videos. Hopefully you find them informative. As always, if there's a figure you would like to see me review, let me know down in the comments, and if it's in my collection, I'll gladly have a look at it. While you're at it, check out my Instagram account for new and exciting action figure photos, and as always, ring that bell to be notified anytime I upload a video. Until next time, guys, I'll see you later. Take care, everyone.